To yet another edition of Dissecting Horror, a live streaming virtual panel series launched by Dread Central. Today, we're extremely happy to have organizers from SCREAMFEST as part of our panel today. And we also have some creatives from the new film Initiation, which is US premiering its SCREAMFEST as part of the program. So really great program for you tonight. You know, as a journalist, I love film festivals. And as a California journalist, SCREAMFEST has always been a highlight of the year for me. And, you know, in 2020, things are different in the age of COVID-19. But we still wanted to make sure that we tried to approximate the SCREAMFEST experience in some way, bring a little taste of it to our readership and our community. And I couldn't be more pleased with the group that we've assembled. So first, on the organizational side of SCREAMFEST, we have Rachel Bolasky, who is the founder of SCREAMFEST. How you doing, Rachel?
Hey, how's it going?
Fantastic. We've got Karen Martin, who is the co-director of SCREAMFEST. How are you, Karen?
Good, thank you.
Fantastic. And we've got Emily Rua, who is a volunteer coordinator. Emily, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me here.
Right on. Well, thanks for being here. And we have, like I mentioned, the creatives behind Initiation. John Barato, you're the writer?
I'm the writer, director, and the co-producer.
Writer, director, and co-producer of Initiation, which is based on a short film, correct?
Yeah, it's based on a short film we actually premiered at SCREAMFEST called Dembanger, which was previously the title of the. Under a recent acquisition, we changed it to Initiation.
Right on, right on. And part of your team, we've got Brian Frager. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Frager.
Of course I'm not, but Brian Frager. What did you do for the film?
I co-wrote it with these lovely people and co-produced it.
Fantastic. And last but not least, Lindsay Levanchi. You are one of the producers and you're one of the stars of the film, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I'm so thrilled to have you all here. Now, for the uninitiated, no pun intended, let's show a little trailer about SCREAMFEST so you can see what this wonderful festival is all about. Take it away. All right, short and sweet. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Well, for starters, I want to talk to Rachel, and you know, for those of you who don't know Rachel, she is fantastic. Every year I attend SCREAMFEST, she really always makes me feel appreciated and part of the program. And it's no wonder that it's not just a fan favorite film festival; it's an industry favorite film festival. From the black carpet to the affiliated programs and panels, SCREAMFEST is always just amazing. And Rachel, you are amazing. So for starters, tell us a little bit about the inception of SCREAMFEST and how it came to be and how it's evolved.
Sure. I started in 2001. I had produced a documentary about women in auto racing, and I had already sold it to Women's Entertainment, the WE Network. And before the airing date, we did a couple of festivals and it won awards, whatever, yada yada. But the journey wasn't all that satisfying. I wanted to start a festival that's really about helping filmmakers make connections. You know, because now a lot of them have like, okay, here's my film. Now what? Right? They didn't really know what to do. And so they didn't lose their money. We wanted to kind of help foster the bridge, if you will, like, whether it's getting them an agent or getting distribution and help, that kind of thing. So it kind of came from a place of understanding what it's like to feel lost in the realm of festivals and not knowing what to do. So it was kind of where, and then so horror, and I love horror, and I don't know why it always seems to be the bastard child of the industry. Like, it's so snubbed and so looked down upon. And you look at so many talented directors that have come through there, Peter Jackson, Wes Craven, Sam Raimi, that have all cut their teeth in horror. And so that was why I chose to do horror, because there's so many talented filmmakers coming from there, and I wanted to help champion the genre. It was long-winded, sorry, but it was kind of
No. I mean, you are a champion of horror. You are a champion of the genre for sure. That's not an overstatement at all. ScreamFest is kind of, the tagline is the Sundance of horror. How did it get that reputation? When did it first sort of be known as something that brought prestige to the genre?
Somewhere around 2006 or 7. I don't even remember which genre outlet had tagged it that. To be honest, at this point, it's been a long time, but they tagged it, so it just kind of always stuck.
Fantastic. I mean, it's definitely an appropriate moniker. Karen, you've been a co-director for what, about 10 years now?
I think you're right.
So how did you get involved with Rachel, and how have you enjoyed watching the festival evolve over the past decade?
Rachel, when did I meet you?
I guess it would have been 2010 when.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah.
You explain it, Rach.
Okay. So we were hiring, and she sent in her resume, and I recognized the college, Nova.
Rachel, can I get you to lean a little closer to your mic?
Oh, sure. Is that better? There you go.
Yeah.
So I was saying that. So when we got her resume, I noticed she was from the same area in Virginia that I'm from, which was very random. So we brought her in for an interview. Obviously, she's awesome. So we clicked right away. And she was talking about at the time how she had thrown her youngest daughter's 7th birthday party. And they had a zombie birthday party, and a zombie at the birthday party for a 7-year-old. I'm like, oh my God, you were so hired. You were so awesome. And the little boys were scared. So they had to send the zombie home. The little girls were fine with the zombie, but the little boys were scared. So they had to.
They were. That is a true story.
That's a true story.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Karen, what do you enjoy most about working with ScreamFest?
I like working with. I like watching the films. I would. That's probably the best. And then dealing with everybody, working with putting it all together. It's challenging, but it's fun.
Definitely. I mean, all the hard work you guys put in shows year after year. It's always such a fantastic experience. Emily, you're a volunteer coordinator, but you have a film background as well. This is kind of what you want to do. You've got a degree, am I correct?
Yes, I have a degree in film from USC. I went to film school. They let me in even though my entry essay was on Night of the Living Dead. I always knew that I wanted to do horror ever since I was a little girl. We started collecting horror movies, me and my dad, when I was about 4 years old, because I had rented Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town so many times from the local video store that my dad started saying, well, we should just buy these because I'm spending 3 or 4 times as much with you renting them.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Now we have about nearing 3,000 titles between the two of us, me out here in California and then him in Buffalo. So it's pretty fun to be able to be in ScreamFest and see these upcoming filmmakers and all these new films. I'm a big fan of the short films. So it's always really fun for me to see these new filmmakers coming into the genre and what they can do with it.
Yeah, and how long have you been a volunteer with ScreamFest?
Since 2013.
Oh,
so it's been a while now.
A hot minute for sure, for sure. And what keeps you coming back year after year?
Well, definitely the people. It feels like a family. Every time you go there, you see the same faces, and I really enjoy working with the other volunteers, our staff, and then meeting the attendees. You have these attendees that come back year after year after year, and it's really fun to watch everybody. Some people that are younger are getting older and growing up with us, and new people just always coming back.
Fantastic. Well, I definitely want to talk to you guys about the challenges of 2020 specifically, of kind of changing course in these unprecedented times. But before that, I do want to talk to our initiation team. John, initiation, like we discussed, it's based on a short which played it at ScreamFest. So it's kind of like this really is kind of like a movie that is of the festival in many ways. You want to talk a little bit about the journey of this film from short to feature, framed kind of through a ScreamFest lens?
Yeah, absolutely. I made this movie in 2013, and pretty much, Lindsay was in it, and like like what was just said about ScreamFest being a family, it's the same thing when you make a movie. And the movie premiered at ScreamFest, and it was my last year at USC for film. And Rachel was just so wonderful. Like I had the movie in other festivals and like showcases, and I just didn't get the the same kind of just vibe really that I got from ScreamFest. And also like people were talking about it, like from ScreamFest, posting about it, and I thought, I made the movie for the USC Media Institute for Social Change, and the goal of that class was to make a movie with a social issue. And I'm a huge Scream fan. I wrote every college essay on the night that I saw Wes Craven's Scream in '96. Scared the shit out of me, but it was so fun. And so I was like, I want to make a movie like that, but I want to do it for a modern day, audience. And that was when Facebook was really big. And so basically the short film, people got it, and we had a really great reception from it. And so I spent the next few years trying to figure out how to make a feature version that could evolve from that. And, Brian and I were at USC together, and Lindsay was in quite a few of the projects that I had directed. And so over time, Lindsay would come to our script readings, and, she would just start helping us write dialogue. And I was like, oh, wow, like, you're a great writer. And I really wanted to, harness this team together to write a really epic, feature version of the script. And the truth is the feature version of the script or the feature, initiation is really nothing like the short, beyond just like social media relevance.
Oh, very interesting. So
yeah.
Even if people have seen the short, you've got a whole new experience for them with the feature.
Right. It's totally different in terms of like, we have like a character with the same name, but that's really more of an homage to Wes Craven, the name Wes. But like the point of the short was to be kind of like a concept piece or a tone really for what could be evolved into a feature film with really characters that you care about and see them go through real world horror. And how I really also wanted to make the slasher genre kind of updated a bit. I'm not gonna lie, the slasher genre we see slasher movies coming out, see the same thing over and over again. Like I wanted to make something different, but yet something that the fans of of the genre itself, what they loved so much, like they would still be able to appreciate this new version of slasher in a way. And so we, like through many phases of a journey, got a script written. And in 2018, we, when you get a movie made, you go through investment phases. And it's like a lot of people say that they got money that they don't have. And you learn what's real and what's not. In 2018, we found somebody who seemed really, truly passionate about the project and really was our start to getting it made. And we got the movie made and into South by Southwest in less than a year. And
wow.
That was a huge part on Brian, and really just producing the hell out of this movie, getting it through post and getting it to the festival in time. I mean, it was a remarkable journey. And then 2020 hit, and I knew that when South by got canceled that we'd be okay. I knew that we'd be okay because I knew the movie, I feel the movie is going to speak for itself. And the fact that we're able to come back to ScreamFest is truly full circle for us, because ScreamFest is where it all started. And
yes.
And to have it be a drive-in, to have it be something different is just so in line with the goal of the movie, is to make something different, that people can enjoy. So
yes, and I definitely want to come back to that later when we talk about the forced evolution of ScreamFest and bringing horror back to drive-ins, because that's a very uniquely 2020 phenomenon, and it's a crossover issue for organizers and filmmakers. So yeah, Brian, John just gave you all kinds of props. Apparently you're the hardest working guy in Hollywood. Definitely want you on my team when I go out to make a movie. Talk a little bit about how the story evolved and what this journey has been like for you personally.
Story's been a constant evolution, especially seeing we want it to be reflective of society and the issues that are plaguing society. John's original short back in 2013 really raised a lot of privacy issues around social media, checking your privacy settings, and really inspired a lot of people to actually think twice about that in the same way The Social Dilemma is doing now on Netflix. And, it was early in that wave. And as we were going through iterations of the feature and thinking what would make the story, a longer arc of this story relevant for the modern age, we really stayed central to the themes of social media as, the primary way that characters communicate, but also just the subtle dangers of relying too much on it and the reputations that get built and ruined through social media. And we took kind of an innovative approach in the production, which I had a lot of fun with because I have a visual effects background, where we actually had all the characters and the actors, and Lindsay can speak to this on set, interacting live while we were recording. They were all on their phones, and we had real accounts for each character, and they were all interacting. So there are some party scenes where we were recording everyone's phone screen, and the interactions gave actors something real to play off of, but it was also amazing in post-production and hugely integral to us finishing the film in the time that we did, because there are over 250 visual effects shots with social media, but we had all the recordings from set synced to the edit, and we could remap those interactions live and do composites in post, and also keep tweaking and molding the story that way as we went along. And so it's a story about an assault that gets swept under the rug, which is hugely topical, to many areas of society today, but especially colleges. And we tell it in a way that I hope will speak to millennials and post-millennials and, give them pause and make them really think deeply on the topic.
Well, I can't wait to see it. And Lindsay, it sounds like it must have been a really unique experience as an actor. I can't say, I'm just imagining it, and I can't say I've heard anything quite like it.
Yeah, it was pretty rad. They, Brian and John did an incredible job at orchestrating that. Mike, what was Mike? Ellery Scott, my name in the film. And we started, taking pictures on set, the entire cast we did, interacting with each other while they were switching where we would be shooting. And it was really rad to have it on your phone. I mean, it is such a massive part of the story of cyberbullying, specifically males towards females in the college scene. And to have that be so naturalized and us all participating as our characters, and then when stuff goes down, it did, I love what Brian said, it did give us as actors pause, but you'll see our characters too dealing with that. So it was really the orchestration of like having someone be specifically like what did we call them, Brian? The social media like coordinator or something, who like managed all of our phones.
Social media supervisor, I think.
Supervisor, yeah, supervisor.
Sirhan and Max, they did incredible jobs wrangling a lot of phones.
Oh my gosh, they were so awesome. It probably was a nightmare for them, but they killed it. And as the cast, we had an incredible time building these profiles of our characters. And in a way, it also brought us together in between takes and really kept the energy up and did keep a sense of focus of why we were there in whatever scene or moment. And it looks so cool. It looks really cool.
I can't wait to see it. And you know, what's striking me just hearing you all talk about it is how meta it all is, which probably goes back to John, your influence, Scream being an influence, and that being such a meta experience. It really sounds true to that tone, and at the same time very modern, very timely. And I can't wait to check it out. I can't wait to see it. When is it playing as part of ScreamFest?
Next Thursday, October 8th at 9 p.m.
Fantastic. And you know, when we post this, we're going to make sure we get links to ScreamFest and everything so people can see the entire program and get their tickets, find out all the juicy details. Let's kind of talk about the elephant in the room. You know, Rachel, for you and your team, I can't imagine. I mean, I know it's a Herculean effort just pulling off ScreamFest year after year, even though you have a working template for it. And I can't imagine what it must have been like, how daunting it must have been to try to reimagine all of this during a pandemic. At the same time, you know, as a festival that launches annually in October, you kind of had more time leading up to it than a lot of the other festivals. You know, South by Southwest didn't have a chance. You know, some of the summer festivals were able to approximate a transition. I mean, I want to know, first of all, when did you first realize that it was not going to be business as usual, that you were going to have to make some drastic changes for 2020? And what has that been like?
Okay. Sometime around,
Lean a little closer for us, please. Thank you.
probably around June, I want to say, you know, as it kept going on, you know, as we all began to realize how serious it is. And it wasn't, you know, and theaters weren't going to open. I mean, we were definitely in a holding pattern for a while, trying to figure out what LA County was going to do, whether or not where we would be in October. And then I had the TCL reaching out to us, asking if we'd still be willing to come there. And we're like, yes, you know, depending on, you know, what's, you know, happening.
The TCL is the theater that it happens at every year. Wonderful historic theater in Hollywood, which is part of what makes the ScreamFest such a destination. Go on.
Yeah. So, you know, she would reach out and she would ask, and I'm like, okay, well, do you have any updates? And she would be like, no. I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't help me any. And you know, we were looking around at, you know, to different venues. We were looking at different, you know, in LA County, knowing that we had one of the highest COVID, you know, in all of Southern California. All, you know, the parks were closed, so you couldn't get like through the permit offices. LA County parks were not giving up the areas, that kind of thing. Reaching out to actual drive-ins, they were price gouging, really crazy. And you know, the jumps are going through permitting and what have you. So that's where we ended up at Regency and Van Nuys, because we didn't want to cancel. We absolutely did not want to go online, and we wanted to stay in LA County. We didn't want to, you know, LA County is hurting. A lot of businesses, you know, have been shuttered, so it didn't feel. I mean, other than going to Malibu the opening night, but we also normally we would have a big party afterward, right? So it was the closest thing that we could do is having an opening, right? The big screening, and then there's a bar, there's food, that kind of thing, and then wanting to stay in the city of LA, which was pretty complicated. It wasn't as easy as you would think. So, and it's hard on the team because poor Emily has to like wait for us to say, okay, this is the venue. And we thought we had one venue, but then they were taking forever in a day to get back to us. And finally we're like, look, guys, we got to go elsewhere. Like we need to lock this. And there was too much corporate. So we ended up going to Regency. But Emily had to scramble because she's keeping all the volunteers together and doing the scheduling of, you know, covering us and that kind of thing. And yeah, it was definitely a year to remember.
Yeah, no doubt. Karen and Emily, what were some of the most shocking things that happened along the way that just kind of like hit you out of nowhere? You had no idea you'd have to deal with.
I guess. Oh, go ahead, Emily.
Okay, I was gonna say, for me, it was actually a really good surprise. Was just how many of our volunteers could return, and how excited they all were. I was really afraid that a lot of people were going to be afraid to come out, but we're really focusing on making it safe, on making sure that everybody's compliant with social distancing and all of the things to make it a safe event. And that really put our volunteers at ease. And I was really happy to see how many people were still willing to come out and help us make this safe event for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I think, like Rachel and I were discussing, you know, the things that we normally do at the TCL, like step and repeats, all of these things, everything's changing. We're not having, you know, like a huge press line. We can't do all of that. So just, you know, having to come up with things that we could do that, you know, were safe.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's drill down just a little bit, because this is interesting. You know, a lot of festivals have gone from being physical festivals to being virtual festivals, but this is actually still a physical festival, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, you know, Karen and I talked about it at length, and we really, like I said, we didn't want to go online because, I don't know, you don't have the sense of, you don't see your movie on the big screen. You know what I mean? I don't know how big your TV is. It's not the movie screen. And we didn't want to cancel. We really wanted to provide the service for our filmmakers. We really, they put their blood, sweat, and tears into making these movies, right? And because so many other festivals were canceling or, you know, getting caught up into it, we really felt, I guess, because we're on the back end of that, we felt even more responsible, responsible to try to help them at least have a venue to put it up on the big screen. You know, so as you said, we were on the back end, so we had a little more planning time. As a poor like Southwest, like, oh my God, God bless them. You know, it was like the day before or whatever. It was insane for them. So we just wanted to make sure that we took care of our filmmakers, and you know, everything's safe. You're in the bubble of your own car. When you're out of your car, you'll have your mask. Our volunteers, I just ordered. They'll have their mask. I just ordered face shields for them to wear. We'll have gloves. Opening night at Malibu, they'll be taking temperature checks and everything when everyone comes. So we take it very seriously, but we really, really felt it was important to have a live, in-person, physical festival. It's not the TCL, so you know we do miss the glamour and the history of being at the TCL, but we're still trying to capture what we can of that for the filmmakers. So I hope that we deliver. We will have a backdrop. You know, it'd be a smaller backdrop, but you still for pictures. We will not allow like large groups to get on there. You definitely have to have your 6 feet and your masks and do everything. But we really want to try to capture the essence of the TCL the best that we can. And we miss
it. Absolutely. And, you know, I almost feel like we're going to have to do a recap when it's over, you know, to bring you guys back in for decompression, you know, especially with the filmmakers. It'll be really interesting to see, you know, how this approximated and whether or not they can see this as the model moving forward. But, you know, to everyone on the initiation crew here, I'm just curious about, you know, what it's been kind of like for you guys emotionally having a feature film release in 2020. I mean, it sounds like, you know, SCREAMFEST is going above and beyond to give you as much of the true festival experience as possible. But has there been disappointment over things like, John, you mentioned the cancellation of South by Southwest? You know, were there other festivals that you were planning to attend, but now they went to strictly virtual? I kind of want to hear from the three of you on the initiation team on, you know, what 2020 has been like in terms of expectations and reality.
Yeah, I will say it was devastating for all of us. I mean, who wouldn't be devastated? We spent 7 years trying to get this movie made, and we did it, and we did it right. And then, you know, but, you know, we're all going through what's happening. And the truth is that if our movie were to premiere in March, you know, like it would have come out under a different name. And we would have had all these reviews with a different name because, you know, we already sold it and somebody changed the name. That would have been very difficult to get people to see the movie. Not speaking from the movie standpoint. So if, you know, whenever you get emotionally torn up about it, if I just think that, then it's like, okay, cool. You know, it's like, it's not like we can do anything about it. I think really the most important thing is to think like, how can we, you know, use what we do to get the world through this in whichever way we can, and let the movie speak for itself at this point. And, you know, like Rachel said, seeing our movie on a big screen is totally the goal, but I think we also live in a time to where we just want people to see it, especially if it says something about the world. And I could not be more excited to I just want to hear what people think. And so and to have the drive-through experience or the drive-in experience is just something that I'm so thankful for, because that's a first for me too. So I think it, as emotionally tolling as it was for me personally, I think it's actually going to all work out better.
No, that's great. And what I like that you said, it's happening to all of us, because that's really true. And it's not just your team for the film. It's all of us, whether we're organizers, whether we're filmmakers, or whether we're film fans. We really are all in this together, going through this. Lindsay, what's it been like for you? Expectations versus reality.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm same, with what John was saying. We were all pretty devastated, but I think very quickly had a reality check of everyone is going through this, not even just in this industry. There is just like, it's tough. I mean, God bless all the parents and children out there, like cooped up in homes for the first couple months altogether. But in terms of our film, we really all just wanted it to be seen. We wanted to share it. And I think in terms of perspective of why we make a film, it was still, that was a brilliant reminder that came out of processing, not having in-person festivals, of we chose subject matters that we cared about, and we care about people, and we had such a wonderful time working with each other, and gratitude just really showed up. We were just so grateful that we got to make this film. And so now to be able to be like, oh my God, SCREAMFEST is still happening. It just, I feel just childlike joy that we can still, and John brought it up too, at a drive-in. I mean, I have, a couple memories at a drive-in throughout my life, and it's so much fun. And so it kind of feels fitting of like, when something doesn't work out, be willing to be surprised. And this was such a beautiful gem of a surprise that SCREAMFEST really pulled it all together in just such a selfless way, for us all to be able to come together, and then to do it at a drive-in. It's just so, it's rad. It's almost, time and time again, past and future, things aren't going to work out how you imagine it. And so it's not the first time, it's not the last time, you got to roll with it. And I think this is such a beautiful way of rolling with it. And John and Brian have really hustled even more, like through, I mean, it was like a steamroller through, Brian, I'm sure you'll talk about it, but through South by, it's like, let's move on, let's keep working on it. And it's just, the product is really awesome. We're just so glad we can share it with whoever's there and in the future. So
I love it. It's really inspiring hearing you talking about these life lessons and silver linings coming out of such a, really, really crappy situation. Brian, what do you have to add about the journey of initiation in this unique pandemic year?
It was certainly exercise in patience, but in the end, it did teach us a lot. And it allowed us to keep honing the film and get it even closer to the vision that we wanted for when people will finally see it. And I was definitely sad after South by Southwest, because it's such a unique confluence of people, in that, we have mentioned the technology side, and I love that South by Southwest brings together artists and filmmakers and technologists and all these people who are there almost for the ideas rather than any one specific iteration or medium that expresses those ideas. And so that's a really special place. And we are sad to see, the rug get pulled out from under them. But at the same time, it also is the new way of the world. And I think it's forced everyone in the industry to reimagine what connection looks like and what shared experience looks like. And, just as a testament to how hard the SCREAMFEST team is working, it's really special that we do get to have any form of physical screening even if we're shouting at each other from our respective cars, it's pretty special what they're pulling off, and we're really appreciative. Honestly, it's going to be a very fun night. And
it's important what you said too about this being the new normal, and like Lindsay mentioned before with drive-ins. I want to ask the SCREAMFEST folks. I mean, is this going to reshape SCREAMFEST as we know it? Are drive-ins going to become an integral part of the festival experience moving forward?
We would like to do drive-ins. We find them really fun, and we do want to keep incorporating them as part of the festival going forward. I mean, I believe there will be a time when we're back in theater as well. I mean, I miss being in the Chinese and the lobby and everyone congregating together and things. But I think drive-ins will be a part of us for a while.
Fantastic. We were kind of having a little talk in the tech check. I don't want to, embarrass anyone, but some people weren't even sure how drive-in theaters work, where the sound comes from. What was it like back in the day? But yeah, I mean, I remember I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark and E.T. in drive-in theaters, when I was, 7-8 years old, so
what? That is epic.
I'm a little old, but no, it's truly exciting seeing drive-in theaters, research like this, because the drive-in theaters close to me were just where the swap meets happened on Saturdays. They weren't really, used for their primary purpose anymore, and just seeing them come back to life. For the filmmakers, how do you guys feel about, this new 2020 reality, about your film being shown on a drive-in theater? And do you think you're going to write your next film with, the potential for drive-in screenings in mind?
It's an interesting paradigm for the industry, because it almost has cleared the way for independent films to come to the fore in a way that it was getting really tough to do at theaters. And with theaters closed over the last 9 months, there have been these breakout indie hits that are surging at the drive-ins.
Mm-hmm.
The Wretched and a couple other horror films that have done really, really well.
The Wretched, which premiered at SCREAMFEST in 2019. That's where I first saw it.
Yep, so I'm very happy. Go alumni! Yay!
Yeah.
Drew.
But yeah, so Initiation was acquired by Saban Films, and those distributors, have built models that can accommodate this new reality, and they've been pretty adept at pivoting to it. And they just really have their digital distribution dialed in. But the drive-in theaters have allowed these independent films to get press coverage and air that would normally be sucked out of the room by big tentpole releases every weekend.
Absolutely.
Totally. I would just also say that, I remember I was talking with my dad about it, and he was asking me about the movie Grindhouse. Rodriguez, I believe, that double feature that he did with Quentin Tarantino. It was Planet Terror and
Death Proof.
Death Proof, yeah. And he was asking me what a Grindhouse was, and I was like, it's usually like a double feature, I think. And I looked it up online, and it's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like one of the first ones that showed up, and I was like, oh, this is so perfect, because they were like, outdoor cinema double features that were like usually raunchy or slashery or bloody or exploitation films. And I think our movie is like, it's definitely fitting in a way for that on a meta level. And also it's kind of fun to watch a movie outside, and it just adds to the world, and seeing it with the world around you. I think the whole experience in itself is going to lend to the film and the experience of the film for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be really interesting to reconvene a year from now and see what the new cinematic landscape is. It's all very exciting. To pivot back to this year's SCREAMFEST, Rachel, can you just tell us a little bit about some of the program highlights? What are some of the most buzzy, besides Initiation, what are some of the other most buzzy films, and are there any corresponding events or panels happening?
Sure. So we're opening up with Hulu's Books of Blood, which is, of course, based on Clive Barker's books. So that's our opening night film, and looking forward to that.
Will Clive be attending?
I don't know. He won't be attending, unfortunately. I'll see if they can do a Zoom, but I'm not really sure what the reception is up there.
Right on. What are some of the other highlights fans can look forward to?
For some of the classics, we're doing Halloween and Halloween 2, and then right before tonight, right before I got on here, we have a cinematographer, Dean Cundy, is going to do a Zoom Q&A as part of that. We have Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, 35 years, believe it or not.
Wow.
We're doing Halloween 4 and 5, so we're trying to mix in some of the classics along with obviously the new films. So we have feature films from France, one called Anonymous Animals, which is basically...
Yeah, look, I saw the trailer for that one. It looks nuts with the people wearing taxidermied animal heads.
Yeah. Yes, it's nuts. It's definitely, it's very dark, but it's very poignant. So it's definitely, instead of people killing animals in the slaughterhouse, it's kind of the other way around. So you are seeing the experience through the eyes of the animal, which is, it's really, it's dark. It's so dark. But it
must be vegan propaganda then, right?
PETA movie.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Karen, what are you most looking forward to in SCREAMFEST 2020?
Well, the drive-in. I'm excited about that. I think it's going to be pretty cool with horror movies.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And Emily, what are you most looking forward to?
For me, it's always about the short films.
Oh, yeah.
We have such a wonderful, diverse group of short films this year.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the short film blocks.
So they will be they'll be paired up on all the different nights with the feature films. So you'll get to see them throughout the week, which is different than we've had in the past, because typically it's just been a movie marathon all day on Saturday, Sunday for the short films. Now they're spread out a little bit. And it's really wonderful. We're showcasing regular independent shorts and student shorts. So we get a lot of really cool and different things. I'm looking forward to the animated popcorn one. What is that one called again, Rachel?
The Popping.
The Popping. Yeah, that one looks really cute. Anything animated horror, I absolutely love. So I'm looking forward to seing that one.
Oh, fantastic.
It came from the Ringling School. And before this happened, I don't think it was due to quarantine, but it just so happens to be like the perfect drive-in commercial for the concessions. It's all around that theme, so it kind of goes perfect with it.
Nice. Well, it sounds like it's going to be an absolute blast. Again, I'm sorry, is it October 8th that the initiations playing?
Yep.
Awesome. And John, where can people who aren't attending SCREAMFEST, when will the rest of us be able to see the film?
Well, if you're in Spain, you'll be able to see the movie a week after. Fingers crossed it doesn't go virtual. It's Sitges, so you say Sitges 2020. And we are really looking forward to, early 2021. Hopefully sometime in the spring, we'll be releasing the movie limited theatrical. So I think a lot of people will, be able to see the hype, and then within a few months be able to see the movie.
Well, fantastic. Are you still totally in initiation mode, or are you already working on your next project? What do you got next?
That's an interesting question, because it's like, whenever quarantine hits and your movie, your directorial debut was canceled, you're like, well, hell, I got to make sure I have a really good, I don't have an excuse to not have a good one. So I definitely spent a lot of time during quarantine writing another movie. But really, it's, the last month has been getting back into the spirit of initiation. It's kind of hard for me to have both feet in two different movies and give it my fullest attention. So I'm really excited to experience initiation with everybody, a much awaited experience, for a premiere. And then, then I'll be able to change my mindset back to the other projects.
Are you in the same boat, Brian?
Yeah, well, initiation, people will soon see, ends on quite a cliffhanger. So we'd love to get the band back together for a sequel if it makes sense.
All right.
Next spring.
Fantastic. And Lindsay, are you still finding work? Are you auditioning? What are you up to?
In terms of acting, it's been voiceover, really, which has been so fun. I love working on all of different. I was playing a 12-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl, just a couple weeks ago, which was awesome. But yeah, I had filmed a short film back in, I literally like right before Corona shut down everything, a 20-minute short that I had written and directed and produced and was acting in. And since then I've just been writing the feature with my writing partner. And it's been, I don't know how to, it's kind of like encouraging in a way that Brian kind of talked about indie films kind of being able to find their light during this time, but just how we pulled Initiation together, it's, to me, it's been really inspiring watching everyone work and all of their different roles that they played in bringing Initiation together, that it, during this time, it's like, hey, I mean, why not write your feature? And if you can make it work during Corona and still try and find funding and make it for cheap, like just do it, just create and keep getting stuff out there. So definitely been writing a lot.
You know, what I'm enjoying so much about this panel is how each and every one of you is just really finding something positive, even during these crazy times. I mean, it would be so easy for us to just all throw our hands up, but every single one of you, it just has such an awesome attitude, and it really shows. And I think that's why, that speaks to why SCREAMFEST is successful. And I think it bodes incredibly well for Initiation. You know, these wonderful attitudes are only going to elevate everyone around you and the whole sphere. So just congratulations to everyone on staying with it and, you know, on not letting 2020 call the shots. Back to the SCREAMFEST, ladies. Oh, you have something you wanted to add, Lindsay?
Oh, no, I just loved it. Yeah, don't let 2020 call the shots. I loved it.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Shatterproof Films, which is the production company we own, we just did a short film, and we are kind of charting the course for how to get back to set, you know, alongside many other productions that are just dipping their toes in the water. And, you know, it's definitely a new reality of social distancing and daily testing and a good amount of the budget going towards that. But it's also pushing forward all these exciting technologies, you know, like virtual production and real-time compositing and people working remotely together to collaborate on, you know, incredible content that you can now do through computers linked together and, you know, driving LED walls. And, you know, rather than having massive crews to build sets now, you can do a lot of that virtually and keep it to a smaller, more lightweight team that's actually operating on set and giving the actors the proper amount of space. So, you know, there's just a lot of exciting new technologies coming on the scene that are in response to the pandemic, but we're almost inevitable in an evolution that the industry, you know, would have embraced over the next 10 years, but they've really forced it through in 2020 in a way that I think will change production going forward in a really exciting way.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head there. This was in some ways a natural evolution, but, you know, the time frame was kind of like pushed up on everyone through this necessity. You know, I can even speak from a journalistic perspective. We talked about doing virtual panels and things like this for years, but it's only when we didn't have a choice that, you know, we really started making them happening with reoccurring programs like Dissecting Horror. And I think we've all kind of touched on it that, you know, we're watching cinema evolve before our eyes, and we haven't kind of arrived at the new normal yet. So it'll be exciting. And I think as long as we have creators who are as positive and committed as the Initiation crew is, and as long as we have organizers as committed as the SCREAMFEST crew is, I have a lot of hope for horror and cinema and the cinematic experience moving forward, even if I can't picture what life's going to be like in 2021. Back to the SCREAMFEST, ladies. What are some of the most important lessons you've learned in 2020, and how do you think 2021 is going to benefit from it, regardless of the status of the coronavirus?
That's a hard one. I mean, I guess just to always keep moving forward, you know. Knowing that I guess we learn how to be innovative and how to act quickly, I guess, you know. And I'm not sure what 2021 will bring. I think it's going to be with us for a while. So I think I don't think cinema is going to be we're not going to see packed indoor cinemas for a while.
Yeah. What about you, Emily? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of differences coming up, and you're not going to see as huge of an indoor cinema. But I do think that this has done amazing things for horror. As we touched on earlier, horror films especially have been doing really well right now. And they are films that you can do with limited cast, with limited location. So when all of these big budget blockbusters with 100 people in the main cast are being sort of sidelined for these next couple of years, we have the opportunity to make these great independent horror films that I think you're going to see a lot of in the next year or two as people during quarantine are making these smaller films. And I also think that this is just the perfect time right now for everybody. If you can't go out to see film, start looking at some old films. One thing that I've been doing is brushing up on some films. 70s horror is something that I didn't really know a lot of, so I started watching a lot of those horror movies and reading about it. Take some time and check out SCREAMFEST's YouTube channel. We have a bunch of our past short films on there, so I always plug that. Watch some other films, learn some things, use this time, because we might not get another time like this where we just are stuck at home anyways.
What a wonderful attitude, and what a great reminder to make the most of this. You're absolutely right. I mean, a year from now, we could all wish we had nothing but time to sit around and look at these avenues of horror that we thought we never had time to explore before. Karen, I gotta kind of make fun of you a little bit just because it's gotten so dark. All I can really see a little tear in your eyes.
My glasses.
I know. It's like this is a little bit of a horror movie right here. Same thing with Lindsay. Like she's kind of floating.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely dark out right now.
Well, seriously, Karen, I kind of want to hear your thoughts as well. How are we changing forever in 2020? And what do you think? What are some of the lessons you've learned? And what do you think 2021 is going to be like?
We just learned to be adaptable. I mean, things that we've just taken for granted every year, we've done the same way. Now everything just gets, tossed and turned, and we've had to adapt. So, I mean, I guess it made us think differently out of the box, which will help us for next year if something else happens.
Well, fantastic. This has been a really inspiring chat for me. I'm not lying when I say the attitudes that you're all conveying right now. Anyone who loves cinema and loves horror can't help but be excited and to really truly believe that horror cinema is alive and well in 2020, in spite of a pandemic or politics or whatever might be getting you down, in spite the evolving new normal, in spite the increase in depression and things like that. There really is something to rally behind. And I just feel so inspired. I'm so glad that I had a chance to talk with you all tonight. And I wish you all nothing but success. As we're closing in on an hour, I want to give all of you a chance to share some final words, plug your project, either the current project or what you've got going on. And I'll kind of go in a reverse order this time. So, Lindsay, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to see you in Initiation. Any final thoughts to share with those who are tuning in?
Well, I mean, just first of all, so I can do this, thank you for hosting this. You've been awesome. And right back at you, you give me a lot of hope and joy when I listen to you talk and organizing this with all of us. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to plug our film. We had such an incredible experience filming this all together. And there were novices on our set to titans where we would sit and listen to, cinema stories with. And it's true that when you watch a slasher or horror, the audience can get terrified. But us as actors on set, we, hop into that moment, and it's a wonderful experience. And it's almost like John yells cut and we all just laugh. I mean, it's just so much joy was on our set, and we are just so excited. So thank you again, SCREAMFest, that we can really
show it to some people, and we can't wait for you all to see it in 2021. It's a very, very special film.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it. Brian, any final words?
Thanks to you for organizing this. Thanks to SCREAMFEST. As I said, it's really special to all the filmmakers that we do get to exhibit in some form this year. So can't thank that team enough for making it happen, come hell or high water. They definitely had some challenges to overcome. And, I would just encourage everyone to use the time, like Emily said, to hone your craft, immerse yourself in stories, and level up your skills. 2020 has forced technology to take the fore and still enable us to connect, maybe not in the exact same ways, but still connect with each other and create together. And so I would encourage everyone to get into those new technologies that are enabling that and making it happen.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for being a part of this panel tonight. John, final words, final thoughts.
Yeah, I guess, what I'll just say is, obviously SCREAMFEST, Dread Central, but really like the fans of horror, like, thank you for keeping it alive during a time where we don't have trick-or-treating, we don't have theaters, and, we're all kind of stuck inside, so the chance of like somebody, coming into our house and killing us is pretty slim. They're going to be a coronavirus, we're afraid of it, so we can't be afraid of that. But really just thank you for keeping the spirit of horror alive. But I would just say, keep your eyes peeled for Initiation. If you're in Los Angeles next Thursday, you will not be disappointed. You can go and you can follow our Instagram at Initiation Film. Follow our actors. They're all in really great projects. Isabella Gomez, her show One Day at a Time. It just it's going to be on CBS now. She's phenomenal. John Huertas, This Is Us. I mean, I love my actors. Like, all of them are, and I call them my actors because I'm very possessive of them. Because they trust me and I trust them, and they're the reason this movie is so special. And I encourage everybody to just get involved with who they are, because they are going to be the future of the projects that you watch on film and TV and the internet. They're all very talented, and now's their start.
Well, it sounds like everyone needs to keep their eyes peeled for Initiation coming at us in the spring of 2021, unless you're able to attend SCREAMFEST, where you can see it on the 8th, or unless you're going to be in Spain for Sitges. You can catch it out there. The rest of us will be seeing it in the spring. Finally, the organizers of SCREAMFEST, you guys are just all phenomenal. And Emily, what you said about using this time to really better ourselves, and to just explore, that's really going to stay with me. So I really appreciate you saying that. Do you have any final words?
Thank you for letting us come on here. I really appreciate that. And thank you, Rachel and Karen. I really have enjoyed being a part of SCREAMFEST all these past years. It's something that I look forward to every year. And I'm looking forward to once we can meet more often in person. Typically, SCREAMFEST would have a once-a-month screening, Fears and Beers screening that we used to do once a month, where we invite a whole bunch of people to come watch some classic horror movies. And I can't wait until we can do that again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emily.
Cheers. Yeah, Karen, if you're still there in the darkness,
I'm here.
Thanks for being a part of the panel.
I can't get to the light.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having us, and come down to the drive-in, SCREAMFEST drive-in. We're gonna have a good time. Come check out some good horror movies.
Would love to. And last but certainly not least, because Rachel, you are a superstar. You are a superstar. SCREAMFEST is elite. Top 10 festivals, hands down in my book. Everything you do is fantastic. And thank you so much for your dogged determination to really keep the spirit of SCREAMFEST alive. And, we're just so thrilled to lend our support, lend our platform to promoting what you're doing. Any final words to send us out on tonight?
Yes, again, thank you so much for having us. Thank you for giving the platform to give voices to Initiation and shine light, on them, because it's an awesome film. I just, want to say again, thank you to Emily. Thank you for getting the crew together. Karen, as always, being there in the fight, and a shout out to Angelica our
yeah, Angelica.
photographer who is not with us tonight, but she is always there helping out. And we love Angelica. And just, I humbly ask everyone who's watching, who's in Southern California, to please come out and support our little festival. We worked really hard to keep it alive and keep it in person. So we really hope that you will come out and celebrate the independent cinema and the classics as well. And we hope to see you and have some popcorn.
Fantastic. Well, again, I want to thank all of my panelists for joining me for this hour tonight. I know I had a blast. It means a whole lot to me to still be meeting with you guys as a community, to be sharing these conversations with our readers who are now our viewers. It's so important. And this whole thing has just been such a positive hour. I'm so inspired about the future of horror and the future of film festivals, no matter what. I'm not going to let Corona call the shots. None of us are. And the future is bright for horror in 2021. I want to thank my team at Dread Central for supplying the technical support. Again, thanks to all of my participants, my panelists. SCREAMFEST is kicking off, and Initiation will be taking the world by storm in spring of 2021. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.